Some stories begin with violence. Some begin with tragedy. But this story begins with peace. It was a warm spring morning when I returned to my village from university. The semester had ended, and like many students who study far from home, I was finally back where life felt slower, simpler, familiar. Villages have a rhythm of their own. Morning begins with the sound of animals moving in their shelters, the smell of wood fires starting in kitchens, and tea boiling slowly with fresh milk taken from cows and goats. In villages, milk is not something you buy from stores. It comes from the animals you raise with your own hands. Animals are not just livestock. They are part of everyday life. And sometimes, even part of the family. That spring, the fields around our village were full of life. Tall green grass moved gently with the wind. Children ran along narrow dirt paths. Everything felt calm. But sometimes the calmest places hide the most disturbing moments. And one afternoon, I witnessed something that I would never forget. In rural villages, animals move freely. Goats wander between houses. Cows graze along open land. Sometimes they cross into someone else's field. It happens almost every day. Usually, the owner simply shouts or throws a small stone to scare them away. No one expects anything worse. One afternoon, one of our goats wandered into a nearby field. At first, nobody thought much about it. Animals often entered fields by mistake. But after a short while, something strange began to happen. The goat returned home, but it was not walking normally. Its legs trembled. Its breathing became heavy. Within minutes, it collapsed. We quickly realized something was terribly wrong. The goat had eaten something in that field, something poisonous. Its body began to shake violently. Its eyes rolled helplessly. There was panic around us. In villages, there are no nearby veterinary hospitals, no emergency animal clinics. There was very little we could do. And so the elders made a decision. Before the poison spread further, the goat was slaughtered. But what made that moment unbearable was something else. The goat had a young baby, a small kid that depended completely on its mother's milk. When the mother died, the baby kept searching for her, walking around the body, trying to drink milk that was no longer there. That moment stayed with me. I remember standing there silently, feeling anger growing inside me. Someone had deliberately placed poison in the field, but we never confronted them, because the owner of the field was a relative. And in villages, relationships often silence truth. The elders said only one thing: let it go. Do not create problems. So the matter ended there. Or at least we thought it did. A week passed. By then, the crops had been harvested. The fields were empty. During this season, villagers often allow their animals to graze freely in the open land. The weather was warm. The sun stood high in the sky. It was around midday, the quietest time in the village. In many rural areas, people rest during the early afternoon. The streets become silent. Most homes close their doors to escape the heat. But that afternoon, the silence was suddenly broken. A man ran toward us, shouting loudly, "Come quickly! Something is wrong with the cows." I ran with him toward the field, and what I saw shocked me. 2 cows were lying on the ground, their bodies twisted in pain, foam forming around their mouths, their breathing slow and desperate. It was the same thing. Poison. The cows had eaten something poisonous in the field. And the worst part, the land belonged to the same person, the same owner whose poison had killed our goat. People began gathering around the field, but no one knew what to do. The cows struggled for several minutes. Their legs kicked weakly. Their breathing became slower and slower. And then, both animals died. 2 strong, healthy cows gone within minutes. Standing there, I felt something heavy inside my chest. Anger, helplessness, disbelief. This was not an accident. Someone had intentionally placed poison in that field, knowing very well that animals might enter, knowing very well that innocent creatures would eat it. As the cow fought for its last breaths, a woman came running from the village. It was the wife of the cow's owner. The moment she saw the animal collapsing, she stopped. For a second, she simply stared. Then she rushed forward and knelt beside the cow. The animal's body trembled. Its legs kicked helplessly against the ground. Each breath looked painful, slow, and heavy. And the woman began to cry. Not quietly, but with the kind of grief that comes from losing something precious. Because that cow belonged to a poor family. They had saved money for a long time just to buy it. In fact, they had not even finished paying for it yet. The cow was still under debt. They had bought it for milk, for butter, for the small comfort it could bring to their home. But now, it was dying in front of them. And as I stood there watching, I realized something painful. This was not just the death of an animal. For that family, it was the loss of their hope. At that moment, I felt something strongly. This should not remain silent. This was not just cruel. It was a crime. I spoke to the owners of the cows. You should report this, I told them. File a complaint. This cannot continue. But they shook their heads. They were afraid. Afraid of creating conflict. Afraid of damaging relationships. In villages, people often avoid disputes at any cost, even when justice is needed. That evening, my relatives spoke to me. Their voices were serious. Do not involve yourself, they said. These people are dangerous. You are studying at university. You have a future. In villages, small conflicts can grow into big problems. I understood their fear. Years have passed since that day. The village still looks peaceful. Children still run along the same paths. Animals still graze across the same land. And sometimes, I still see the same people who own that field. Life continues normally. But every time I walk near that place, I remember the dying goat, the baby searching for its mother, the two cows collapsing under the hot afternoon sun, and the silence that followed. This story is not about revenge. It is not about exposing individuals. It is about something larger. How often do small acts of cruelty survive because people remain silent? How many innocent lives are lost simply because no one speaks up? Animals cannot defend themselves. They cannot ask for justice. Their safety depends entirely on human compassion. And when that compassion disappears, the consequences can be devastating. In every society, the way we treat animals reflects the values we hold as human beings. Mercy toward animals is not weakness. It is humanity. And cruelty toward them is not just a crime against animals. It is a warning about the kind of world we are becoming. I could not stop what happened that day, but I can tell the story. Because sometimes, telling the truth is the first step toward preventing it from happening again. A society that shows kindness to animals protects its own humanity, because compassion toward the weakest reflects the true character of a community. Animals cannot speak, defend themselves, or demand justice. Their safety depends entirely on human mercy. When people choose to treat animals with care and respect, they strengthen the values of empathy, responsibility, and moral awareness within society. Kindness toward animals teaches children and adults alike that life, in any form, deserves dignity. On the other hand, cruelty toward animals often reveals a deeper loss of compassion that can spread into human relationships as well.